Hey guys, we are supposed to do a show at 8, but I have not heard from our guest yet. So I'll leave the stream up for a little while and we'll see if he is able to get on here. And if not, we'll see you on Sunday. So please stand by. Okay, got a text from Chris. He says he's finishing up a call and will be here as soon as he can. So once again, please stand by. Well, okay, you guys out there. Having trouble with Zoom, but it's time to start the show. So stand by, Chris.
Will do.
We'll just get through as best we can, and this is the way the show starts. From the studio in the bonus room above the garage on the north side of Cary, sequestered at the foot of Mount Belzoni, this is the Triangle Talk Show. Almost made it. I'm Gary Pierce, and let's see. Oh, this is episode 94 for June 4th, 2020. Telesca Me More. And before we get started, I wanted to mention that I've got some great show titles that are probably going to go to waste. So I need to tell you about them just because I'm never going to get a show done with these titles. First title that is just going to go to waste is COVID Don't Care, Still There, and Posse Coming At Us. You know, like Posse Comitatus, Posse Coming At Us. So what about this Telesca Me More? That is at the expense of our returning guest, Chris Telesca. Sort of a play on the name of an NPR show that I vaguely remember called Tell Me More, that turns out went off the air back in 2014. And you probably didn't make the connection anyway. Did you? I don't think so. Triangle Talk Show is a YouTube show and a podcast for the Triangle area of North Carolina. We talk about anything we want to. We aim more or less at things of interest to you triangularians, waiting for that to become viral. Sometimes it's local, sometimes it's a little bit broader. We are unfair and unbalanced on the left-leaning politics side when we get political. We are going to get political tonight, and there may be some debate on the show tonight about just how far left-leaning we are. We have gravitated to a live show at 4 o'clock on Sundays, done that pretty consistently, but there's no promise that we're going to stay there. And this week we have propped up with, well, this is our third midweek show, and I need a vacation from this because it's getting to be too much more like work. Our website is triangletalkshow.com. Our Facebook group is the Triangle Talk Show. No, is just Triangle Talk Show. No, the. Twitter, we are at Talk Triangle. We don't do very much on Twitter. I announce new shows. There's got to be like 7 or 8 people that are subscribed or following our Twitter feed. So, don't spend a lot of time there. I use Twitter to look at what Trump is saying now and then. Our YouTube address is still gibberish until we get up to 100 subscribers. So please go to our YouTube channel, if you can find it, and click the subscribe button. As of today, we're up to 83. And then after that, I don't care whether you ever watch again. The only thing on YouTube called Triangle Talk Show is us. So we're actually not that hard to find over there. Podcast-wise, we are on just about every podcast app out there, along with TuneIn and Spotify. And now, this is going to be interesting because when I switch to the feed from our guest, when I'm talking, it's going to look like this. That's pretty bad. Or I could make it look like this. I guess I'll do that. When he starts to talk, his picture is going to be there. I guess I'll let him start to talk. Hello, Chris Telesca. Telesca Me More.
How's it going?
And there you are. But
God.
Isn't that weird?
Very weird.
So how you doing, Chris?
Doing okay.
Normally there's controls in Zoom that let me say, don't show me, just show the guest, or just show this picture, spotlight it or pin it or whatever. I don't know. Apparently I don't know enough about Zoom to be able to make make it work like I want to. I don't.
Lord.
There's a billion settings here, and I don't know how to run any of them So we're going to pretend this is just an audio show.
It's like you have it on the MFA setting, you know?
Yeah. The what?
MFA, Masters of Fine Arts.
I don't understand, but that's okay. You can.
I went to an art school,
Uh-huh.
and so I got my bachelor's degree, right?
Yeah.
MFA was Masters of Fine Arts, or mostly fucking around.
Okay, and by the way, you can swear if you want to.
Good.
And so,
Okay,
and
well,
so can I. There's this explicit button on the podcast thing that I will push, and we will be explicit. I can make you a host.
Nah.
I can rename you, but I can't spotlight your video. I don't know. I don't know how this. I don't know how it works. Remember from the Wizard of Oz, the very end of the Wizard of Oz, and the wizard is going up in the balloon, and Dorothy is being left behind, and she says, "Come back," and he says, "I can't. I don't know how it works."
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
I know how this works, though. My little triangle. You can hit that whenever there's an important point to make.
There you go.
Chris, you asked to be on the show because you have a beef about the inner workings of the North Carolina and Wake Democratic parties, and pretty much going all the way up to Washington.
Well, yeah, it's Democratic Party. We have bylaws, and nobody's following them. You know, it was bad before, but with this COVID pandemic, it's like they're literally they want to set it on fire and throw it out the window. You know.
Now, who are we talking about? Wake or North Carolina or?
Well, I have a beef with pretty much every jurisdiction.
What a surprise!
They're on a surprise, right? Wake County does not provide notice of the county party board meetings, right? Now, before the pandemic, they were always on like the fourth Monday evening, but they would never be noticed. And one of the things that our plan of organization requires is all these committee meetings, all these party meetings should be properly noticed. And that's not happening. If you want, imagine going to the General Assembly and, saying, well, when are they going to do a hearing on this? Well, we did that 2 weeks ago. When are you going to, when are we going to let us know? You don't need to know that. You don't need to know how the sausage is made. Just keep voting for us, right? And, you go to the General Assembly website, you know who all the state House members are, all the state Senate members are. You have their phone numbers for their office. You have their email addresses, right? You can sign up to be notified when committee meetings are taking place. Now the weird thing about some of the stuff going at the GA, I'll sit there one night and I'll see like they'll have 5 or 6 emails for one committee meeting in one day because they're constantly changing them. It's like one meeting might be at 1 o'clock. It's, we can't meet in that room at 1 o'clock. Somebody else is meeting there. Some bigger cheese is having a meeting in that room, so we got to meet down the hall.
So they don't know what.
And then
right hand doesn't know what the left. In the case of the Democratic Party, the left hand doesn't know what the farther left hand is doing.
Right, because it's the center hand that's really running the show.
We're going to find out about that.
Yeah.
I really like this video effect. This is cool.
Yeah. Now that is actually somewhat stable here. I mean, you're here and I'm here and.
But
whatever.
yeah, what you see on Zoom and what the audience sees on the show is going to be different things. So let me take a look at this here. This is the website for the Wake County Democratic Party. All the people are here. The chair, Rebecca Llewellyn.
Yeah.
First vice chair, Damian Dellinger.
Yes.
They're here. We know who they are. Second vice chair, Rhonda Bond.
Yeah.
You know all these people?
I know some of them. Some of them I don't know. We just got I know Jackie Jones. We just got a new Apex vice chair. The reason why we have an Apex vice chair is because if the county has one municipal jurisdiction with more than 60,000 registered voters in it, that municipal jurisdiction gets its own vice chair. So Raleigh had a vice chair, and then everybody else in Wake County was represented by the Wake County vice chair. And then Cary got to be big, and Cary got a vice chair, and everybody else in Wake County was represented by the Wake vice chair. And now Apex has because Apex has more than 60,000 people in it, and they're represented by the Apex vice chair. So there's an Apex vice chair, a Cary vice chair, and a Raleigh vice chair. And everybody else in Wake County is represented by the Wake County vice chair.
Now you're talking about just general population, not necessarily memberships in the Democratic Party.
Well, I mean, it's like,
because I don't see a Cary vice chair here.
Well, you just missed him, Greg Shepard.
Oh.
Go up, go up, go up, go up, go up. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep.
Oh, okay.
Right
there he is.
Right there.
That's why I missed it. No picture.
I don't know why.
Okay, so
Greg on these Zoom meetings.
So he's my guy.
Yeah, it's the guy. We used to have a female Cary vice chair, but she decided to run for Wake County commissioner, and since it was a contested primary election, she could have either stepped back as Cary vice chair, or what I think they should all do is resign. We got too damn many people who use being a party officer to run for some elected public office, and then they end up not being able to finish their job. I got to tell you one thing. Lauren Freeman, when Lauren Freeman was, the county chair, everybody knew that Lauren was going to run for some elected public office, right?
Okay.
There's no doubt. But I respected the fact that she served her full term, and then she let somebody else run, and then she ran for office, and Dan Blue did the same thing. All these people that run for elected party office that then decide they want to run for elected public office. It's just we end up not having consistent leadership for the full term.
Okay, I can see that. Are any of these people that are on this list, any of these like allies of yours?
I don't think they would want me to admit it in public.
Because they'd be in trouble.
Yeah, they'd have a big bullseye on their back,
So speaking of bullseyes, I'm going to be in trouble for having you on this show and not any of them.
Well,
because I've had you on a couple of times. You've been on at least 3 or 4 times.
Well, it's like, if they want to be on a show, they ask. I get a lot of people that like Michael Lawson in Charlotte. We have a lot. He has me as his guest on a lot. I have my own theme song for when I'm in his show. The Sopranos theme song.
I would do that, but I would get a takedown on YouTube for using copyrighted music. I don't know how he gets away with it.
Yeah, because he's not on YouTube.
All right. Well, I guess that's the way I could. Yeah, no one comes after the podcast, but they come after the YouTube and the Facebook.
Oh yeah.
All right. So you guys in the Wake County and any of the surrounding county Democratic Party that are going, what do you have the Telesca going on here? Talk at triangletalkshow.com is the email, and just let me know. Sure, you're on the show. And lately, I've been getting a fair number of requests, and our mutual friend Elizabeth Crudup, who has been executive producer of the show, pulling all kinds of cool people in to be on the show. Now, we're still at the point where no one is watching or listening, and by no one I mean 100 so on maybe YouTube and 100 or so on the podcast download audio.
I actually had a friend of mine that I went to high school with said, "Is that the ask for color processing by Kodak sign that used to be at Sandbass Camera Shop?" And I say, "Yes, it is right there." So you got people watching your show.
Oh, okay. He was seeing your sign.
Well,
on this show.
Yeah, they figured, Kodak? What's Kodak? Right? I mean,
They're still around.
Has to be an old geezer like me that would even know what the hell Kodak is. So
yeah. All right. So I'm looking at this here website, and I haven't looked hard at this, but they've got this events thing. You're saying you couldn't find out when meetings and stuff are.
Well, they don't. Here's the thing. It used to be that they would, like, the county party board meeting is not on their calendar, right? If you go to the state party website, right, a state party has got several standing committees. The Council of Review, not a committee so much as a quasi-judicial body. They deal with petitions of violations of the rules and things like that. But there's the Plan Organization Committee. That's the committee members are up to it. There's committees, platform resolutions. People actually elected to that. There's actually another committee called Credentials and Appeals. So it's like, if you go to a particular meeting of the Democratic Party and your name isn't on the list, how do you appeal that? Well, you find the Credentials and Appeals person and you say, "Hey, man, I was elected to be a delegate at my precinct meeting back in February, and now they're telling me I can't attend this county convention or district convention or state convention. What the hell's going on here?" The Credentials and Appeals person is supposed to say, "Well, let me look and see what's going on here." But
of course, I predict you're going to say they don't do that.
Well, nobody knows who those people are, And here's the weird thing. Okay, so like at the state party level, you got the state executive committee, and I know this for a fact because at my very first state executive committee, Jerry Meek was looking out, in on the floor, and he says, "Hey, come here." Yes, says, "I want you to write me an amendment to say if you miss 2 SEC meetings in a 2-year period of time, you get bounced off the SEC." So I sat there with my, with my paper and pen and wrote it, gave it to Jerry, and said, "Chris Telesca has an amendment to the poo from the floor." And back at the time when you could do that, right? And so I submitted this amendment. I said, if you miss 2 meetings, you get booted from the SEC. Right? It's like, why do we have people get elected to committees of the the Democratic Party at any level and then not show up to the meetings? There's 3 things you can do: either show up to the meeting, not show up to the meeting, or send a proxy. Right? If you're a responsible person, who wants to run for a particular office and you can't make it, something happens, you got to attend a funeral or you got to work or whatever, right?
Okay.
You send a proxy, but a lot of people don't do that. So
they just say, fine. Screw it.
That's what they do. Anyway, so my amendment, which is still, by the way, in there, the language is still in there, well, it kind of requires that the state party keep track of who attends these meetings, right? And this is a simple thing. You attend, you send a proxy, someone who's qualified to attend the meeting on your behalf. Like in my case, the Wake County Democratic Party elected me to be an SEC member, so any Democrat from Wake County can take my proxy, right? But if I send a proxy someone from Orange County, that person is a Democrat, but they wouldn't be eligible to take my proxy since they're not from Wake County. Follow me? I
do. We are awfully deep in the weeds here. We are so inside baseball that we're not even on third base. We're not in the dugout. We're in the locker room.
Okay. We're in the locker room where someone is looking into the rules of baseball. Okay.
All right.
Anyway, so there's 3 options: attend the meeting, send a proxy, don't attend the meeting. The state Democratic Party cannot even keep accurate track of those 3 things.
Okay. So the big picture here is organization is just crap.
Sucks. Organization in the Democratic Party sucks.
Is that deliberate because by being disorganized they can get away with shenanigans, or is it just?
Yes.
How insightful of me.
I coached you well. What can I say? You know.
Well, I knew that shenanigans were your bottom line here.
Well, it's getting even worse. Okay, before the COVID pandemic, they would try to pull all this, and whenever anybody reads this, they say you use 4 words on a regular basis: cheat, lie, rig, and steal. Okay, because that's what it amounts to. All right, when you don't publish notice of a meeting, right? You're basically rigging you're cheating, you're lying, not telling somebody that a meeting is taking place is a lie of omission.
So how do the people that they want to get to the meeting find out about it? Is it all
the
emails?
Chair of the committee tells the members of the committee, here's when the meeting is. But that's not what the POO instructs them to do. The POO instructs them to notice every Democrat that this meeting is taking place. And it's not difficult to do. The state party sends me emails several times a day. Send us money, send us money, send us money. Oh, here's a talking point. Send us money, send us money, send us money. But they don't tell me the stuff I want to know.
Now, if I were to, first of all, I guess, change my voter registration from unaffiliated to Democrat, because if I'm unaffiliated, I'm unwelcome, I'm sure.
Well, no.
Nope.
Last year, we actually had 2 unaffiliated voters show up to a Democratic Party caucus meeting, and they actually joined the caucus and were elected as caucus officers in Wake County, which is a violation not only of the caucus bylaws, but also of the state party bylaws.
Because they're supposed to be registered.
One of those persons several weeks earlier was elected to be the secretary-treasurer of his precinct, which is a violation of the plan of organization as well, but they don't care anymore.
I'm getting the feeling that they're kind of hard up for people to volunteer for offices.
That's not it. That's not it. It's like they seem to only want certain party insiders or certain politicos to hold these positions in the party. That's why you got so many people holding multiple offices in the Democratic Party. Like, aren't there enough people to each, so each person gets to hold one office? Well, no, not if your whole goal is to do top-down control of the party. Then if there are only a few politically reliable people around, you want to fill all these officer positions with politically reliable people who are going to vote your way.
Okay, so if I were to show up and let's say I changed my registration to Democrat, which wouldn't be a big problem for me. What?
Never mind.
I should stay unaffiliated?
No, I didn't say that. If you feel strongly about wanting to become a Democrat, you identify with our party platform, and you want to see us elect people who will work to turn the party platform into public policy, by all means, dear God, please become a Democrat and show up at your precinct meeting and help us take over the Democratic Party. We need it.
Okay, so I've learned a little bit about how this inside baseball works, but I don't remember very much. The precinct is a pretty small deal, and about anybody could walk into that.
Well, technically, anybody can walk into it, but if you want to become a precinct officer or delegate, you have to be registered Democrat.
Yeah. So let's assume I did that.
Well, it's the only meeting in the Democratic Party that you wouldn't have to have shown up to another meeting before that. Because the precinct is entry level Democratic Party, and they have they have precinct meetings at least once a year, sometimes more often than that. If your precinct is not organized, you should be able to contact your county party chair and say, "Hey, it's me, Gary Pierce. I live in an unorganized precinct. I'm asking you to appoint me acting precinct chair for the purpose of organizing your precinct." We used to get a lot of precincts organized that way. One time, Me, Jesse Goslin, and Blaze Strand went to an OFA meeting. This is like in January of 2009, right? And we showed up at this meetup. They were having it at the Flying Saucer, which, you know, that's my downtown office, so, you know, they all know me there. Anyway, we went in there. We got everybody who showed up to the meetup to write their name, full name that they're registered to vote under, what address that they live at, and Blaze, Mr. Spreadsheet, looked them all up on the voter registration database and found out that of all these people who were there were 9 people who lived in an organized precinct. We got 9 precincts organized within a week after that. And it's easy to do. All you have to say is, you know, hey, I live in an organized precinct. Would you, Madam County Party Chair, would you please appoint me to be acting precinct chair? And Doris Weaver at the time, who was the chair, you know, said, sure, yeah. And we got those precincts organized.
Do they look into your background at all to see if you're going to be a troublemaker? Like, for example, you?
Well, when I actually volunteered to organize my precinct, they actually encouraged me. And that was when Lauren Freeman was county party chair. They were looking to get precincts organized because they knew when you organized a precinct, you were supposed to be, you know, doing, you know, responsible for, you know, door-to-door canvassing and poll greeting. And I took my responsibility seriously. So we canvassed, we poll greeted, and we got voter turnout increased. We got more people registered as Democrats in the precinct and more people voting Democratic in the precinct. You got to show the colors, you know?
So
I'm getting the feeling
I'm getting the feeling you like the Democratic Party, you just don't like the Democrats in it.
Well, okay. If you were to look at the plan of organization and see how it's written, if you follow the plan of organization, you might actually be able to who will work to turn the party platform into public policy. Okay? Unfortunately, you have too damn many people who are looking to use their membership in the Democratic Party and Democratic Party officers to, you know, either enrich them personally or enrich them professionally. You know, they want to go from being a precinct chair to being a county party chair to being or the president of Democratic Women or something like that. You know, you have a lot of ambition. People get into politics for good reasons, in some cases for bad reasons, and you know, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of a lot of the Democrats in the Democratic Party.
Answering the question I asked 10 minutes ago.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
So are you in? Are you out? Are you on the side? Where? I mean, you've been chairman of your precinct.
I'm a member of the state executive committee. I'm a member of the county executive committee. I'm the president of the Wake County Progressive Democrats. I'm the 2nd congressional district representative to the Progressive Caucus to the North Carolina Democratic Party. And I'm getting involved in a new group that is trying to reform the Democratic Party because, you know, that's what the Progressive Caucus was supposed to do. The Progressive Caucus was supposed to organize what all the Bernie Sanders people and organize from the grassroots up and help take over the Democratic Party and reform it. Unfortunately, got way too many, I'll call them progressive Democrats.
Conservadems, I believe, is the term you favor.
No.
They're a different. That's a different breed. Progressive.
No, I'm a concerned Democrat. I'm trying to reform the party. The progressive Democrats are the not real progressives. They're the ones who want to try to jump in there and keep real significant changes from occurring. They're the ones who go to the establishment Democrats and say, just give me a little time. I'll do something here. I'll keep them from, getting real active. I mean, it's the reason why Elizabeth Crudup, who lives in Harnett County, went through all the crap that she went through. I don't know if you remember when Alan, her former, boyfriend, then fiance, now husband, because they got married. was running for office, and she was his campaign manager, and she showed up at a candidates forum, and the local Democratic Party officers arrested her.
I did not hear about that.
Oh, you did? Oh, well, anyway, she had to file a petition against the county party chair in Harnett County, saying that this woman was a racist. She went to the Council of Review. She made her case, but they didn't feel by a large enough majority vote that the chair should be removed from office. So they just sent her to racial sensitivity training, which she didn't attend. And then when she went on record and somebody recorded her saying things about, like, you know, black Democrats not being capable of, you know, I don't know, doing their job, or Hispanic Democrats needing an English-speaking mentor, or just some incredible racist crap like that, right? It got back to the state party, and the state party said, hey, did you take that racial sensitivity training that you were ordered to? And she said, no, I'm not going to take that. He said, I think you really need to. Otherwise, we're going to have to throw you out. And she said, screw you, I'm gone. Anyway, so they ended up getting a new state party chair. But county party chair. And
so it's like she left over from the 60s?
Well, her lawyer looked like Homer Stokes, that guy from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? You ever see that movie?
No.
Well,
I've heard about it.
Watch Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Homer Stokes was the guy in the red Ku Klux Klan outfit that was presiding over a cross burning. and anyway, Homer Stokes was the county party chapter's her lawyer looked like Homer Stokes. I won't say he was Homer Stokes. He looked like Homer Stokes. I have to be careful about what I say, otherwise I get sued.
Yeah.
So anyway, but that's the kind of crazy crap that Elizabeth went through. But the reason why Elizabeth does not have a progressive caucus chapter in her county, and this is going on now 3 years, is because her county party chair went to the very first convention of the State Progressive Caucus in August of 2017 and basically spoke to the interim chair, the interim first vice chair, the interim treasurer, and the guy who ended up becoming the person. He says, we cannot have Elizabeth Crudup have a leadership position in the Progressive Caucus because she's like that Telesca guy over there, you know? I mean, a
little too progressive.
You can't have them in positions of power, And so, I mean, you should have heard the crap that out from the interim officers who then became elected state caucus officers. They were saying things like, like when I go to a precinct meeting, if I want to raise sustaining fund money, I can raise it in cash, right? I get $10 from you, $20 from you, $30 from you. Anything up to $50, I can take in cash. Above $50, it's either got to be check or it's got to be at blue with like a credit card, right? So Elizabeth, for some reason, went to go have her first meeting in her, and a progressive caucus wouldn't allow her to collect dues in cash, $10 a pop. What the hell? So
how'd they stop her?
Well, they basically said, we're not going to take your dues. Arbitrarily, we're not going to take your dues. They made her get either check or money order from all of her people. Now, I don't know if you're aware of this, but when you get outside of the Triangle area and you get outside of some of these, metropolitan areas, what's the biggest banks in most of these communities? The Bank of Walmart.
Okay.
You go to the money store at Walmart and you can get a money order there, right? So she's literally going to have to take all of the people who she knew, poor people that didn't have access to a bank and didn't have a checking account, right? She'd have to take them to Walmart and get money orders from them. Now, this is an example of we talk about this stuff, Black Lives Matter, and white people all try to get woke, but they don't understand that once you get outside of Wake County, or Durham County or Orange County or Guilford County or whatever,
we're still fast asleep.
Well, yeah, it's a whole different world out there.
Yeah.
And
well, this sounds like voter suppression to me.
in a way, it is. It's like if you don't want the Harnett County Democrats to have a progressive caucus, they're not going to get one. Hell, there were establishment Democrats in Mecklenburg County, which is a lot like Wake County, that, they finally got organized. One of my friends in Mecklenburg finally organized a progressive chapter there. My friend Asa Gregory in Wilson County was one of the original Progressive Caucus members. He wanted to get something going. It finally took him, I don't know how long, because there wasn't a lot of new chapter support there. But Asa is one of these persons who he actually tolerates less bullshit than I do. Because when Bernie suspended his campaign and announced he was going to endorse Biden, then people in the Progressive Caucus said, well, Biden is the nominee. Not yet, but that's a different story. So when they decided, well, the entire Progressive Caucus was going to get behind and support Biden, the way that they didn't wasn't really all that kosher and kind of offended a lot of people. So Asa basically resigned his commission. He became an unaffiliated voter and said, fuck it.
Okay. So we are so deep in the woods here. I don't know if anybody is not already in this mix of politics understands what you're talking about. So I'm going to try to drag you out a little bit. If I were to listen to some of the folks in the current Wake County and State Democratic Party leadership, wouldn't they just tell me that you are a curmudgeon who feels like, oh, they're just not paying enough attention to you, so all you're going to do is throw spitballs?
Well, here's what I would tell them. I would tell them, go to the North Carolina Democratic Party website, look up the plan of organization, assuming they can ever get their act together and the most recent copy of the plan online, and look at it and see if, for instance, all the meetings that they're holding are following the plan of organization, are in violation of it. Like, there may not be specific instructions in the plan of organization about how to hold a meeting, a county convention, district convention, state convention, but they say, well, we like to follow Robert's Rules of Order, and Robert says you can do virtual meetings only if the virtual meetings give the attendees the same rights to participate that they get in an in-person meeting, right? And you're complaining about these Zoom meetings and Zoom controls and all that. Well, imagine if you've been going to in-person Democratic meetings for decades, right? And you know that, if somebody does something stupid in the meeting, you could say, Mr. Chair, I'll be recognized, point of parliamentary privilege, parliamentary inquiry, parliamentary objection, whatever, right? You can amend something. You can do that. You can participate in it. How the hell do you do that on a Zoom meeting, right? By the time I raise my hand at a Zoom meeting and somebody calls upon me, it's 20 minutes after they've already put it on to talk about.
I can see that problem. I mean, yes. I haven't run a lot of Zoom meetings, but I can see that the tools are there for being responsive if the people are using the tools for being responsive. The problems I'm having with Zoom are technical. They're not, they don't prevent making a good meeting work. But I can see how you could use the technology against people to make it difficult for them to participate.
Yeah. Well, I will just say this. Ever since we stopped having in-person meetings, with the exception of a few state executive council meetings, which are allowed to be held via teleconference, every meeting that the North Carolina Democratic Party has, or the district conventions, or the county conventions, organization comply with Robert's Rules of Order. Every one of them. And this coming Saturday, we're going to have the state convention, and before that, the state executive committee, and at the state executive committee meeting, which is also going to be a virtual meeting, they're going to ask us, state executive committee members, to vote on an amendment to suspend the party plan of organization. The COVID pandemic.
Yeah, you're breaking up pretty heavy. It's getting a little hard to follow. Let's see if the internet comes back here.
On Saturday at the state executive committee meeting, they're going to be asking state executive committee members like me to vote in favor of a resolution allowing the state executive council to suspend the bylaws of the North Carolina Democratic Party.
Which would let them do what that you don't like?
Any damn thing they want.
Okay, so you're going to vote against that.
No, I'm going to say I recognize in an emergency situation, we might need to suspend the rules, right? But what I would support is if the state party says, gee, we can't do a certain thing, we need to suspend the rules temporarily to allow us to do that. And here's the reason why. Somebody might say, well, have you looked into less destructive ways of achieving the same goals? So what I would want to see is the state party tells the state executive council, hey, we need to suspend a particular part of the plan of organization for 6 weeks to do a certain thing, and we're going to give you guys a week or two to research it and figure out if there's maybe another way to do this. And I will give you an example of what I mean by that. At the district conventions that are held every year, even an odd year, in the even years, especially the presidential, we elect presidential convention delegates, right? And we, according to the plan of organization, elect these people, a certain number of them, through gradual elimination runoff. So you like have the first ballot, you vote for the 3 people who you like for these particular positions, right? If somebody wins in the first round with 50% plus 1 or more, that person's elected, right? A bunch of other people, if they don't reach a certain, level of, support, you eliminate them, right? And everybody else goes on to the next runoff round, right?
Okay.
Which is a second ballot. And if you keep, you keep doing more ballots until somebody gets 50% plus 1. That's what the plan of organization says. Well, somebody in the state party, I don't know who, they won't tell me, claimed that in the time of the pandemic, the only way that we could elect people to those positions is if we did something called paperless, electronic, ranked choice voting on Google Docs. Now, do you know what ranked choice voting is? I
have an idea.
Okay, well, let's say you have 3 people who are running, you have 3 delegates that you can elect, right? Well, what if all your choices don't make it? We might be able to elect 2 or 3 or 4 more, individuals, right? So you rank choices. But unless you're actually required to rank every candidate on the ballot, you'll never get somebody who wins with 50 plus. Everybody won't win with 50% plus 1. But that's what the plan of organization requires. So technically, when you did ranked choice voting, you could elect people that without a 50% plus 1 majority. The only way to get the true 50% plus 1 majority is to, have subsequent round of balloting, right? Send out a new ballot with the remaining candidates on it. And people are saying, we can't do that in North Carolina. Oh, yes, we can. And you know why we can? Because they're doing it in other states. Jesus Christ almighty! Doesn't anybody ask a question? Oh, how does Michigan do this? How does New York do this? How does Pennsylvania do this? In North Carolina, they get staffers or they get some party officer says, I have an agenda that I'm trying to push. I'm trying to push ranked choice voting. It's the greatest thing since sliced white bread. And we're going to use it in the state party. even though we don't have to.
So I got a question.
Yes.
Are you a lone voice in the wilderness, or do you have a lot of people that feel like you do?
Well, since the original Progressive Caucus had about 500 members in it, it's now down to around 200. I'd say there's a shitload of people in North Carolina who are pissed off at the Democratic Party being run. They just need a place to cope, to gather, to have their voice heard loudly.
So you got a couple of hundred people that are in the Progressive Caucus. How many people are there in the party total that are actually involved?
Well, there's actually a lot more people than just a couple hundred people in the party, but they really need some place to go to.
What percentage of the Democratic Party are those progressives?
Well, I don't know that I could say what percentage of the Democratic Party, because, I mean, I don't know everybody in the Democratic Party. I don't know how many people are pissed off at, I would say this. If you look at the people who are leaving the Democratic Party and becoming unaffiliated, that ought to tell you something.
Well,
okay,
it tells me that they're giving up their ability to have a voice,
because
they may feel frustrated.
Even when they were registered Democrats, they didn't have a voice because of the lying, cheating, stealing, and rigging. So there's actually a new group, and I'm a member of it. It's called People for Democratic Party Reform. And I found out this. A couple of my progressive friends told me about it, and I joined. And it's a bunch of people who are parliamentary geeks. They know Robert's Rules of Order left and right. And, they didn't pretend to know about parliamentary stuff. They actually knew it. And when they wrote an opinion piece about, where the North Carolina Party is violating parliamentary procedure in their own bylaws, they exploded. And it's pretty impressive. So we're going to be submitting a resolution on Saturday, highlighting many of the ways that, well, at least 3 of the ways that the North Carolina Democratic Party is violating its own bylaws, and we'll see where that goes.
So they made the mistake of telling you about this meeting coming up this weekend.
Well, no, I mean, it's a state convention.
They couldn't hide that.
Well, here's an interesting thing. I mean, I showed up at my precinct meeting, and then I knew about the county convention, district convention, I knew about the state convention. But believe it or not, they have actually, in years past, they've taken a very good friend of mine who got so pissed off at the party, she decided she wanted to run for elected public office. She got her precinct organized, and they lost her paperwork. The Wake County Democratic Party lost her paperwork. She didn't get an invite to the state to the county convention or the district convention, and she didn't get an invite to the state convention. And so I'm like going, I can't freaking believe this. Now, the problem is she actually has a life that she's living, family, a job, and kids and all that stuff like that. So she couldn't devote as much time to being a pain in the ass as I could be. But I got so aggravated in 2016 when this happened that I wrote a letter to every member of the Wake County Democratic Party board and said, this happened. She got her precinct organized. She had 26 delegates that she got elected at a precinct meeting. She turned in her paperwork, and you idiots lost it. How does this happen? It happens a lot.
Is it that they lost it, or they lost it?
They lost it.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
So this People for the Democratic Party Reform, I typed that into my browser, and I see a couple of videos from this year.
Yep.
And I see a Wikipedia for Reformed Democratic Party. I don't think that's the same thing.
That's a different thing. I just go, it's, I don't have like let me look it up on Facebook if you got it.
And is this a North Carolina thing, or is this a?
Well, we now have a North Carolina chapter, and there's actually chapters in many states. And the interesting thing is, when I attended my first meeting, they were very. I actually looked at a list of all the members, national members of this group, and they included their phone numbers and their email addresses. And I'm sure that would freak the hell out of the people in the state party who don't believe that we should be doing that. So I shouldn't be able to communicate with any of my state party officers via email, because that would accomplish too much. So it's we actually have people for Democratic Party Reform. We have a North Carolina chapter. I'm trying website for the group, for the national group. My browser is slow for some reason. It's not loading this page up here.
I think your internet is coming in on tin cans and a string.
No, I think it's my MacBook Pro is just an old dogged out piece of shit right now. But hey, when I hook my Canon 5D up to all my Photoshop that I want to do with it, I am done with that. It's the internet and all these, browser updates that are screwing me up.
Okay. What am I going to get? This is an hour and 5 minute thing. I'm curious.
Look on Google for, if you can find the website, if you can find the web address.
I'm just curious what I'm going to get here. I'm going to turn on the audio. Okay, that audio is crap.
It's pdpr.org, I think.
Hello, welcome to People for Democratic Party Reform. My name is Larry Taylor.
Okay, it's one of those things where they give you a bombastic musical intro, and then the guy comes on and he's dull as toast.
To get those questions relayed to the.
He's a registered parliamentarian. What do you want?
The title of today's show is Found Democracy in the Heart of Dixie.
Actually, he's not that bad. Okay, so what are you saying I should do?
I'm trying to find the first thing I have. I'm trying to, for some strange reason, it is literally like I hate about Facebook. I have to see, if I want to find out, stuff about the group, they make me sort through all this other crap.
Yeah, I mean this is what I'm getting.
Hang on a second. It's I have it right here. Hang on a second. It's I think I'm getting to it here. It's pdpr.org.
Let's see what happens.
pdpr.org.
Okay, well, there's a website. People for Democratic Party Reform.
That's the group.
I can join. I can look at probably a lot of long drive treatises on what they want.
Yeah, report delegate issues, and here's where this is coming from. Okay, people are seeing all over the country that the procedures that they were supposed to have to elect delegates to go to the conventions are not being followed. Right?
Hasn't that always been the case?
Well, it's always been the case, but in the pandemic, it's really getting obnoxious. Like, here's a perfect example. For every delegate slot, we're supposed to have at least 3 people that want to run for it, right?
Okay, I'll take your word for it. I have no idea.
Well, anyway, and all the people who want to run for it have to be vetted by the campaign. Now, not everybody who wants to run will be able to do so. They might be, somebody might say, oh, you're a real obnoxious asshole. You've got all kinds of terrible, crazy Confederate flag waving, spiderweb tattoo on your elbow stuff. And we don't want you to be a delegate for Bernie Sanders, right? Okay? Makes perfect sense. Okay? Or you're a crazy, flannel shirt wearing hippie liberal. We don't want you to be a delegate for Hillary Clinton, right? So anyway, so now with the pandemic that Bernie has suspended his campaign, the Democratic Party is trying to turn all the Bernie delegates into covert Biden delegates, so that Biden will cross the 1,900 delegate threshold, even if they didn't have any more primaries.
Yeah.
Because they're going to count all the Bernie delegates as Biden delegates. Ta-da!
And the problem with that is?
It's not legal. But see, they don't care. See, and now
by legal, you're not talking about law. You're talking about party rules.
I'm talking about party rules. Exactly right. But now these idiots are going to go around and they're going to change the party rules to do whatever the hell they want to do. Now we can't even vote for delegates. Now we're told at the state convention on Saturday, we're not going to be able to vote, like, for let's say where it's the delegate selection and affirmative action committee. Typically, you elect anybody who runs, where they're from, what they are, and male and female and binary. You elect those people at district conventions.
You're breaking up bad.
I'm sorry. At the district convention, you would elect the pledge delegates, male, female, or non-binary. At the state convention, you elect the African American delegates, the Hispanic delegates, and the veterans delegates, and the LGBTQ delegates, and the trans delegates, and the Asian caucus delegates, and you elect all those different people. It used to be that you had a choice amongst maybe several different people running for those affirmative action slots. Now you don't get that choice. So they're trying to take away our rights to vote for the amongst the people who are running for these slots.
Tell you what, I'm going to stop your video.
Okay.
And see if that helps
the audio.
Make your audio work better. So once again, so much detail in the inner workings of the party, and I understand that you're frustrated about the inner workings of the party, but unless you're in the middle of it, no one's going to understand this stuff. No one's going to care unless you get in the middle. Well,
here's the thing. The stuff that's going on in the party affects, for example, our choices of who actually gets to run for elected public office, right? If you're a county party or district party decides to use party resources to help one candidate versus another, by the time the, public gets ready to vote between those two candidates, one of those candidates might have dropped out because they were tired of, something against. I mean, the party officer should not be interfering with, any elections, party officer elections, delegates election process, but they are, and it's pissing people off. It's driving people out of the party. It's even making it harder to elect people to public office because, see, one of the great ways that you can elect people to public office, have a big pool of volunteers, right, to go out and canvass and knock on doors, right?
Okay. So if I understand things correctly, anybody can run, anybody can file and run, and the party can't stop them, but the party can put support into a candidate versus another and help them out. And maybe that will make the difference. I guess probably it would make the difference.
The bylaws say you're not supposed to do that. The bylaws say that you're not supposed to use party resources to advantage one candidate or another in a contested primary.
Okay, so everybody should be treated equally in the primary.
Yeah, they should be treated equally. And in fact, if you remember, there was a money laundering scandal. Like, people were putting money into the Hillary Victory Fund, right? Right.
Okay.
And they were putting more money than they legally give to Hillary Clinton. And that money was supposed to then be divvied up amongst a bunch of different state parties. So the Hillary campaign treasurer would take the money, send it to the North Carolina Democratic Party treasury, right? Where it'd be laundered and sent immediately back to the Hillary Clinton campaign. It was essentially a way to get around the campaign finance laws.
Okay.
So did the treasurer of the North Carolina Democratic Party know that this money had been transferred from the Hillary Victory Fund into the North Carolina Democratic Party and back to the Hillary Clinton campaign? No, they did not.
I think I missed something in there, but I get the idea. I don't know what to do with it, but I get the idea. So what can somebody do if somebody's on your side, if somebody understands this, or maybe they're just learning it and they say, I think Chris is right. We got to do something. Well, what do they do?
Become a registered Democrat.
And?
Then find out if your precinct is organized. If it is, show up at the next precinct meeting, probably the election in 2021, and take it over. Get enough of your friends to show up who are also registered Democrats and live at that precinct. And it takes 5 people tops, usually.
Well, maybe that precinct is doing okay. What are you going to look for?
If the precinct is doing fine, okay, then you find out who the precinct chair is, and you say, hey man, I'm like a Bernie guy, I'm like a progressive Democrat, I want to reform the Democratic Party. I'd like to help. Okay, so if you find that you had a precinct chair like me, yeah, I could really use your help. On the other hand, if your precinct is run by an establishment conservative, you need to take that one over.
There's your conservative. Now, and so that is somewhat of my point. You have a political philosophy that you want the Democratic Party to run by.
Yes.
But not everybody is going to agree with you. Some people are going to be more moderate, some are more centrist, and you don't think they should be, and you want your position to prevail. Well, so what?
It's an election. If you have an election and my side wins and your side comes out in the minority, guess what happens, baby?
Well, then you win, but you haven't won so far. I think that's what you're complaining about.
Because of the constant lying, cheating, stealing, and rigging.
You know who you sound like? You sound exactly like Donald Trump.
Well, wait a minute. I mean, okay, first of all, I'm not like Trump. Trump is full of shit, and I've read the Bible.
And you're not.
Okay? I was a nice Catholic altar boy back in the day. But, okay, so, like, when you lose a precinct packet and you deny black voters in their precinct a voice in the Democratic Party seat at the table, that's lying, cheating, rigging, and stealing. Okay? So what you need to do is you need to join up with, join up with the Progressive Caucus, or actually, I don't think they're going to do a lot to reform the Democratic Party because they've got too many progressives in there right now. Join, if you want to reform the Democratic Party, join the People for the Democratic Party Reform. We're going to show you organize as a Democrat, register as a Democrat. Either go to your precinct meeting and take over your precinct, or if your precinct is unorganized, learn how to organize it. I've done this before. In 2007, we had a precinct chair who actually his theme at the county convention was mission accomplished. It was just like George W. Bush patting his jock on the deck. Remember he was in that flight suit, and Lincoln had to steam around in circles so he could get enough time for his presentation.
Yeah, that didn't work out so well for him.
No, not for well. It didn't work out well for that county party chair because he lost big time. So if you get enough people to show up at precinct meetings, take it over, elect enough delegates, and then they walk into the county convention in an odd year with enough votes, they win. They take over the party. The party is incredibly vulnerable to be taken over. That's the reason why the Progressive Caucus got taken over by these progressive losers.
So I'm thinking if it's that easy, why haven't you succeeded yet?
Well, okay. I actually succeeded in creating a statewide Progressive Caucus, okay? And the Wake County Progressive Democrats were the first county chapter in that state caucus. What happened was, again, the lying, cheating, rigging, and stealing.
So you just need to get better at lying, cheating, rigging, and stealing yourself, apparently.
No, I just need to be like Teddy Roosevelt and bring a bigger stick.
Okay. So
seriously, I'm just, with this other group, the progressive assholes who weasel their way into the Progressive Caucus are going to be out. How shall I put this? They're going to be outed. If they want to join, great, but they're not going to get a shot at coming in and screwing this new group up.
Okay.
Let me put it this way: if you're the kind of progressive weasel who was in the Progressive Caucus, who people when they describe listening to this guy talk about the bylaws as having hot knitting needles stuck in their eyes, okay, he will not be a member of this group. Once to join, he will damn sure not become an officer.
Okay, so now I got a question. For all the people out there who just want to vote for some Democrat come out in November and
Yes.
don't give that much of a crap about everything you've been talking about.
Yes.
What do they do?
Well, I hate to say this, but if you don't give a crap about a lot of this stuff that's in the weeds, you're going to wonder, how come I keep voting for Democrats, but my life doesn't get any better?
Well, there's a good point. And
Well,
is it that they're not voting for the right Democrat? The right Democrat can't get to a position of potentially being elected? I mean, all of this stuff is so invisible. I don't see how it affects the ultimate election. And I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm just saying I don't see it.
Well, here's a perfect point. We talk about, everybody supports Biden because Biden's more electable. What the hell does that mean? I'm more electable.
What that means is pretty clear. It's pretty clear to me. More electable is that there's a stronger chance that a lot more people are going to vote for him and he takes office.
Okay. Well, people thought that Hillary Clinton was more electable in 2016, and yet looking at Orange Cheeto head there, looking around a Bible and tear gassing people outside of an old Episcopal church in Washington, D.C., right?
Learned their lesson.
Electable doesn't mean shit. Electable is like, okay, and here's the thing: Biden, until South Carolina, Biden didn't even have campaign headquarters in South Carolina. Hell, Biden didn't have campaign headquarters in North Carolina. Biden was almost broke there for quite a while, right? How did Biden get ahead?
He got a big endorsement in South Carolina, and then people started voting for him in the primary like crazy. Well,
there was a way that black voters who make up a good chunk of the Democratic Party in South Carolina, I can tell you, and because I'm in discussion with Bernie people all over the country, Bernie had a worse campaign in 2020 than he had in 2016. I mean, absolute worse. You'd think that they would have learned from that and done things better, but no, they screwed it up and they did it bad. I mean, they had no boots on the ground anywhere other than, Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, right? Okay, South Carolina. And South Carolina, they actually had and some of these people they had on the ground over a year ago. They had people on the ground in the spring of 2019.
Are you saying Bernie did or Biden did?
Biden had nobody. Bernie had people in. Bernie had people in Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina. He had people in Nevada. Okay, in early 2019.
So what went wrong?
Because he didn't have people in North Carolina, and he didn't have people in the other states. I mean, he had nobody in North Carolina until after the Iowa caucuses.
But South Carolina has started his wave.
What?
South Carolina started Biden's wave.
Okay, well, here's the thing. Bernie had people in South Carolina early, but for some strange reason, they had a guy who was there who somehow didn't work out, and then the person that they put in their place was not very effective. Like, allegedly, neither of these two state directors for Bernie in South Carolina reached out to Clyburn. Clyburn said, "Oh, I didn't hear from anybody in Bernie's campaign, not A1." And I'm thinking, like, well, I don't fucking believe that. Okay, Clyburn was probably always, an establishment Democrat, which means he was going to support Biden,
no matter what.
What?
No matter what. Although he had a few other establishment Democrat candidates he could have picked from.
Well, I mean, it's like this. Clyburn had been there long enough that Barack Obama could call Clyburn up and said, "Hey, I want you to give my boy Joe Biden, I want you to endorse him." Right?
Do you think that happened?
I believe it did.
Because it was very behind the scenes, because Obama was...
Yeah, there's a lot of that stuff happens behind the scenes. Yeah.
Okay, it's all behind the scenes.
Now the smoke-filled room is virtual, and they're not smoking stogies, they're vaping.
But still somehow thousands and thousands of people started voting for Biden.
Because that's what they were told to. They went through the networks. Clyburn talks to all the county party chairs. The county party chairs reach out to. There's a lot of money that goes from these campaigns and the parties to these. It's all different in different states, but for instance, there are a lot of Black community leaders who take money from the party or from a campaign, right? And they hire kids in the neighborhood to go work out at the precinct polling places, or work out at the early voting places, or go knock on doors. Okay? It doesn't so much happen in a lot of the other ethnic communities, but it definitely happens in the African American community. And it's like, that's kind of how it works. It's almost like a multi-level marketing with Amway,
All right. So these campaign workers, precinct workers, knocked on doors, said, "Vote for Biden. Get to the polls, vote for Biden."
Yeah. Once Clyburn decided how he was going to go, then everybody else, like dominoes, fell.
And the voters, and I'm not saying they're not, the voters are that much just like sheep.
Some of them are, yeah.
Well, apparently a lot.
Yep.
And again, I'm not saying they aren't.
Listen, there's a lot of what you call low information voters. I was at you would think if you were going to be a delegate to a state convention, you'd at least know who the candidates are and stuff like that. So in 2004 at our state
you would think, but I'm guessing you would be surprised.
No, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Here's what I saw. The state party chair at the time was Barbara Allen, was reading off the list of people who were running. Like, you have pledge delegates at the district convention, and then you have these Clio delegates and at-large delegates at the state convention, right? And so as they're reading off the names of two people who are, against each other, right? There's a lady sitting on the dais, a Black lady sitting on the dais, and she is, when they call off those, that's the one you vote for. She's literally telling people in the room, that's who you vote for.
Okay, back up a little bit, because you broke up in the middle of the best part of that story. So there's a lady on the stage. Who is she?
Dais, who, as the state party chair, is reading off the two names. Like Joe Blow is running against, Dave Rowe, right?
Okay, and she's supposed to be not nonpartisan or not.
Well, the chair is nonpartisan, but the lady sitting right next to her, who's giving a thumbs up for one of those two names, is not nonpartisan. She's very partisan. So somebody up on the dais, somebody up on the stage with the state party is telling other convention delegates who to vote for. It happens all the time. It really sucks.
And they're going along because they are not woke enough yet to recognize what's happening.
I'm sitting there and I'm going, is she making signs to like somebody else in the audience about this? Says, yeah. So another lady stood up and she said, hi, I've got a question. Why is that lady sitting next to you telling people who to vote for? If you tried to do that at a public polling place inside where people were casting their votes, you get arrested. So Barbara Allen said, oh, please stop doing that. I'm sure she's rolling her eyes, I can't believe I have to do this. I have to ruin the experience for everybody, So Barbara Allen told the lady standing next to her, don't tell people who to vote for. That's the kind of crap that happens all the time. Or sometimes it's like, hey, would you like to be a delegate to go to, the convention this year? Or would you like me to nominate you to be such and such next year? Well, if you scratch my back now, I'll scratch your back later.
Okay.
That's happens that way sometimes too.
So at this late time of the program, I want to introduce another concept here that I think you're going to enjoy, and that is we need to beat Trump.
Yes.
Is this what you're looking to foment, a fracture in the Democratic Party, at all useful?
Yes. And I'm going to tell you why. Because we keep doing the things that we've been doing, letting this corporate establishment conservative Dems run the party from the top down. We have done nothing but lose elections.
That's not true.
Okay. North Carolina, you got a Democratic governor. Big whoop, right? Show me how you're going to get laws passed without a Democratic majority in both the House and the Senate. It get done, is it?
It won't get done. We have something of a chance with the still gerrymandered, but not nearly as badly gerrymandered maps that people are saying. We understand at the congressional level the fix is in. We're going to get 2 more seats and that's it. At the state level, state senators, state representatives, it's going to be more competitive. I don't know if it's going to be extremely competitive. I don't know if we can make a big enough blue wave to actually take control of one or both houses. Mm-hmm. But, well, what do you think? Is there a chance?
Well, I will tell you what I think. I don't think the chance is all that great. I'm going to tell you why. Because we have one hell of a lot of momentum to overcome. And I don't see us having the kind of GOTV effort that we had in previous years when we got, you realize back in, was it 2002, 2004, in the U.S. House, North Carolina had the minority of House members, right? Right? How did we get a majority of House members in North Carolina? I mean, U.S. House members, right? We had 13 people. How did we get a majority?
Yeah, you're breaking up enough. It's very hard to follow your logic. A few seconds and we'll have you back.
Can you
try now?
Can you hear me now?
A little bit Cylon robotic, but yeah, we're getting better.
So we had a 100 county strategy when we got our new chair, Jerry Meek, and it built the party from the troops on training. My friends here in Wake County, and we took the Democratic Party back, and we won.
What year are we talking about?
This was 2006.
Okay.
And 2008. 2006, we won back control of the majority of seats in the North Carolina House. Now, remember, Carolina always, with the exception of a couple years in the 90s, we always had a Democratic majority in the state House and the state Senate, right? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So when did we lose that? We lost that in 2010. Why did we lose it? We lost it because in 2008, when we had the control, when we had the 50-state strategy at the national level and the 100-county strategy at the state level, Barack Obama's Obama for America campaign basically went over the Democratic Party at the national level and controlled it through funding at the state level. And they gutted the 50-state strategy, the 100-county strategy, and we started losing races all over the country immediately after the November 2008 general election. We lost the Georgia Senate runoff. We lost the Massachusetts special election for U.S. Senator. We lost Teddy Kennedy's seat, right? We lost Jersey and Virginia governor's mandates. That we lost between November 2008 and November 2010. And then we lost all those fucking seats in November 2010 in a redistricting census year. We went from being at the top of our game to basically everybody bent over and kissed somebody else's ass. And we lost it all. And now, in the last 10 years, what have we done to get that back? I'd say not a damn thing. Now we're doing what? We nominated Hillary Clinton in 2016 in the big Clinton machine, won by 3 popular votes. But guess what? Popular votes don't mean shit in a general election. For president, it's electoral college votes.
All right, you are still breaking up enough that it is difficult to follow your passionate logic.
Sorry about that.
But what I'm getting from this, from my question, which was, is fracturing the Democratic Party useful or damaging? It's useful because if you guys take over, we're going to win.
If we did what we did in 2005 when Howard Dean took over, and 2007 when Jerry Meade took over, 2005 when Jerry Meade took over, and 2007 in Wake County when Doris Lieber took over, yes, we will start winning. We will not win with these conservative Dems in power.
Are we going to get tired of all the winning?
I never hope to get tired of all the winning. I get tired of losing.
You know what I'm referring. You know what I'm referring to, don't you? During Trump's campaign. No, Trump's campaign.
Oh.
He said you're gonna get tired of all the winning.
You know what?
I'm tired. I'm tired of all that winning.
I don't pay attention to Trump all that much, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm a Democrat. I can't do shit about what goes on in the GOP. I can't do a damn thing about it. I'm not going to vote for that idiot. No one I know is going to vote for that idiot. So what I do is I don't give the guy power. I don't think he puts his pants on 2 legs at a time. I don't think he's a miracle worker. He's a fucking moron. Okay? And if you've ever talked to anybody who lived in New York during the art of the deal, everybody's thinking like, I get a cousin who worked in New York, worked for one of Trump's hotels. She can't believe this idiot won. Okay? The reason why Trump won is because Hillary was too cocky.
Okay. Or made tactical errors.
And, well, if you've ever read Shatner, she got too cocky. Made tactical errors in some critical states. Or a lot of people said, I'm not going to vote for her because I think that she has got the election pretty much already sewn up, and I don't really like her very much. And so I'm just going to stay home, or I'm going to find a third-party person to vote for, or even vote for Trump, the Obama-Trump voter contingent. A lot of reasons why she lost, and no one thought she was going to. And so people said, it's not that important. She's going to win in a landslide anyway. I can vote my conscience. They were wrong. Well, I will just put it to you this way, okay? The people who voted for Barack Obama, who got the nation's first African-American president, assuming you're not talking about Bill Clinton, All
right.
Who didn't have to vote because the Hillary campaign didn't work hard enough to get them to come back and vote for her, right? some of those people actually voted for Trump. And why would they do that? Because they'd been promised, if you vote for Obama 2 terms in a row, we're going to have a better life. We're not going to lose our jobs. We're not going to lose our home. We're not going to lose our family farm. We're not going to lose our business. And guess what? They still lost it.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's a reason why that might have been a reason why they didn't vote for Hillary, or why they voted for Trump. We didn't give people enough good reasons to vote for a Democratic candidate. Instead, it was, don't vote for Trump and his basket of deplorables, or whatever the hell it was.
Did that stuff not happen because Obama just didn't care to try to make it happen, or is it the president doesn't have that much power?
What do you mean the president doesn't have that much power?
The president just can't. They make all kinds of promises in the campaign that they know they can't keep.
Well, all right.
Because they don't make legislation. They suggest legislation, and it's got to go through Congress.
Well, here's the thing, okay? You have people that say, like, every president has their own, every president has their own, platform. It's like, guess what? You're running to have a D behind your name. I don't give a crap what you personally want. I want to know how hard you're going to work to turn our party platform that I voted for as a Democratic Party officer into public policy.
Nobody cares about that. Nobody cares about the platform.
Okay, no, actually, people do. A lot of people care about the platform. It's like, why should I vote for a Democrat as opposed to a Republican?
The platform is an aspirational wish list. It's not a list of concrete legislation that is going to be brought up in.
Here's the thing: the concrete legislation needs to emanate from the platform. Otherwise, why am I wasting my time getting elected?
Vaguely. Well,
why am I wasting my time electing Democrats if they can't turn the platform into public?
Because the day after the election, things start to change.
After the election, they now have to go start dialing for dollars to get the money for their next campaign. This is why if you had public campaign financing, that shit would go out the window. Candidates would not have to worry about where they got the money to buy off their consultants and vendors and stuff like that, right? They wouldn't have to do that. They would have, if I know I'm running for president, I know I'm going to get enough public money, X number of public dollars to spend, and that's it. Any more than that, I can't spend it. Okay? I want to see them totally get rid of private money in campaigns.
I think that would be a great idea. I'm not sure we can get there, but I think it would be a great idea.
Well,
all right. So you
bargain that away.
Are you still hoping then that somehow Biden will not end up as the candidate?
Okay. It's looking like whatever virtual convention that they have, Biden will walk into it as the nominee only because they have somehow set up the delegate selection process in such a way that all the Bernie candidates are Bernie. All the Warren delegates are really Biden delegates. All the Buttigieg and Bloomberg delegates are really Biden.
So the fix is in.
It's like ranked choice. It's like ranked choice voting. They transfer votes over from one person to another. In fact, right now, by the way, if you want to be a delegate to the DNC convention, you have to. They're basically making you say, you can't be for Bernie. You have to be for Biden, even if you're a Bernie delegate. Did you know that's happening?
I did not.
Yep. Well, that's the virtual smoke-filled room right there, baby.
Okay. So are you still hoping that somehow Bernie pulls a rabbit out of the hat?
Well, I'm trying to figure out. See, in these virtual conventions, they haven't had a lot of time to hash out resolutions and stuff like that. And I predicted at the DNC convention if it's a virtual convention. It's starting to look like it will be, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to have time for all that stuff. Everybody, or what? Are you going to have people sitting around in their underwear at home on Zoom meetings all day long for like 3 weeks? Doing all this. Well, okay. I didn't know you're sitting around in your underwear. I hope you're like me. And you're
that's not my underwear. It's real shorts.
Okay, shorts. I'm wearing shorts too. Anyway, so
I didn't have to push that button. I just decided to show everybody.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. So I don't think that they're going to have. I don't think that they're going to do anything than just basically, select a nominee who's going to select his VP. Now, here's the problem. I still don't think that Biden. I'm gonna put it this way. I don't think his heart is in being president anymore, because I don't think he figured out when he was going to run in 2020 that he was going to be dealing with this COVID pandemic and this major depression with all these 40 million people losing their jobs and stuff like that. I mean, he's got to be promising something other than status quo if he wants to stand a chance in hell of getting elected. I don't know what's going to happen with Trump, but I got to tell you one thing right now. If you got the Democratic Party changing the rules in midstream about delegate selections and suspending bylaws and things like that, that's you're giving Donald Trump exactly what he wants to say, that the Democrats are going to rig the election. You won't be able to trust it. So
I was going to say that anyway.
Well, yeah, I know that, but you're actually giving him red meat he can use.
Oh, nobody needs truth or ammunition. They make their claims, and that they got something behind it. They don't. I mean, Trump lies all the time. It's got nothing behind most of what he says, and people still believe
he goes on to like another line next week, and everybody's attention span is short.
So he's going to do the same thing.
Is, as it starts to get into November, okay, he's gonna continue harping on Sleepy Joe Biden. He's going to be harping on the stuff in the Ukraine. If you at least stop with the Joe Biden is electable crap, and you say, well, he's the lesser of two evils. What if we actually elected somebody who could pump people up and get them all motivated and talk about their hopes and dreams and stuff like that? Hillary couldn't do that. I don't think Biden can do that.
Yeah. Seems like we're about 3-4 months too late for figuring that out.
What?
Well, I mean, what that was the story back in March at Super Tuesday, and the end of February, not here in June.
Yep. Well, here's the interesting thing. I think people in the Democratic Party knew that this was coming. There's no way that you're going to tell me that there were Democrats in the House and the Senate, and Democrats who are, like DNC members who are big cheese lobbyists and, corporate lawyers and stuff like that. They didn't crap was coming from China via Europe. Have you ever read the Have you ever read like the Boccacio's Decameron? It's like Europe in the plague years, and how the rich people were able to go hang out at their country villas away from all the densities of people living in squalor. And they lost like a third of Europe. Hell, China lost like half its people because China was always living in squalor. But the plague came to Europe through the trade routes. How did COVID-19 get from China to Europe to the United States? Because everybody has to go to China to do business in China. Like I have a cousin who runs a plastics manufacturing company. Her husband and her son have to go to China twice a year. Thank God not now, but to attend trade shows to try to find people who can, manufacture her stuff that she can then buy and sell, buy from them and sell in the United States. Cousin of mine works in hotel marketing. She travels all over the world. She was in Europe when all this crap was going on. So she got back. She was hunkered down in their apartment, and then when they finally got out of New York City, they went to live at their beach house, right? Hey, I have a lot of friends who are computer geeks. So what are they doing now? They're basically staying at home coding, and they can afford to do that because they're getting paid their full salary with all their benefits to do nothing but code in their underwear. Okay? You know?
Are you going to make me show that picture again?
No, you don't have to do that. I know you're not wearing your underwear, so you don't have to bother with that. But anyway, so all my computer geek friends are coding in their underwear. My friends that work in financial services are, screwing their customers in their underwear at home.
Can you give me a clue where this argument is going? I'm lost.
Well, what I'm basically saying is that look at all the people who can't work at home. Look at people who work at Target selling groceries. Look at people who work at a gas station, right? Look at people who can't afford to do that. Those are the essential people, and a lot of them are losing their jobs. A lot of them are, and we get 40 million people unemployed. I applied for that, COVID pandemic unemployment insurance. Guess how many photo shoots I've had since the middle of March?
I'm going to guess not many, maybe zero. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So,
I don't think people know your profession is photographer.
Yes. So, I've had nothing but, cancellations. I do corporate photos. Like I take pictures of industrial equipment that people are trying to sell. Okay. And, people still want to buy it, but unfortunately, if my equipment is locked up in a warehouse because of the pandemic, I can't walk through a wall and take a picture of it,
Okay.
So, yeah, so that's what's going on with me. No, I'm just saying I don't think that, I just don't see if we're still dealing with this pandemic, and I think probably by the middle to the end of the summer, we're going to be down at the valley, but then starting in the fall, it's going to kick back up again. It did it in 1919, 1918.
We don't know for sure. There's a pretty good chance it will.
Yes. So what I'm doing is screw Trump, screw all his asshole people. I'm hunkering down. I want to live through this. I don't want to die. I don't want to lose my house. So, yeah. I am not. Hey, listen, when I first started hearing about this is COVID-19, not COVID-20, right? This shit started in China in 2019. I knew it was coming over here. I deliberately decided I'm not going to any campaigns. Don't you want to go see Bernie in Charlotte? Don't you want to go see Bernie in South Carolina? Hell no! I don't want to go down there and get sick. Fuck that. Okay? Chris, we really need you to work on an election for us. What do you want me to do? I want you to work out at the polling place and hand out stuff. Nope, sorry, not going to do it. Why not? COVID-19. I didn't do that squat for early voting. Only two political things I went to. 3 political things I went to. And before everything got shut down was 1, I went to my precinct meeting, right? 2, I went to the state executive committee meeting in Charlotte on 2/29. And then I went to go vote at early voting on the 28th. And the place I voted at was my precinct polling place. It was used at an early voting site in Wayne County. Guess where the first person that tested positive for COVID-19 voted?
I'm going to guess your polling place.
You're goddamn right. And I said, unless they give me a hazmat suit, a full face respirator, gloves, and give me a decontamination shower, I am not working my polling place on election day in November. Fuck that. I'm not doing it. I'm
trying to remember back because I voted early too. I don't remember exactly what day, but it was somewhere toward the end of the early voting period. And I guess that we were hearing about it, but we weren't thinking hard about it. And when I went to vote, I wasn't considering that. I wasn't considering that at the last Friends dinner I went to in early March. Well, no, I was considering. We were thinking about it at that point, but not around election time and before for North Carolina. Not Super Tuesday.
Well, I will just say this: since I became involved in the Democratic Party, we have dealt with bird flu, swine flu, SARS, MERS, Ebola, and now COVID-19. And are you going to tell me that somebody I'm trying to figure this out? Why in the world I should vote for people in the Democratic Party leadership who didn't see this shit coming, who cared more about a code of conduct resolution in the Democratic Party than they cared about how are we going to deal with meeting in a time of a pandemic, who cared more about auxiliary council of review, that they, shoved all this other business aside, dealt with the auxiliary council of review. And then when we finally got the time to deal with it in June of 2019, guess what we did? Didn't pass it. They just chucked it. You know why? Because they said that the presidents of the auxiliaries didn't want it. Then why did you waste a year and a half on it?
Are we talking about the state party now, the county party?
I'm talking about the state party. I'm talking about why we got people who work for the state party, who are state party officers, that waste their time on shit that A, doesn't get Democrats elected, and B, is hazardous to my health. Okay?
I see a little bit of hindsight at work here, but okay.
What?
I see some sharp hindsight at work here, but okay.
Not hindsight. When I was in Charlotte in 2020 on 2/29, and I was talking about this code of conduct, I said, why are we wasting our time here when all this is going on outside around us? And by this, I meant COVID-19. And I'm telling you, we expect Trump to have all these illegal since January, right? And yet we have people in the state who want to talk to the governor, talk to the director of emergency services, talk to FEMA. They knew this shit was coming. They did nothing. Same thing here in North Carolina. Now, granted, I think that they're handling it better going forward than Trump is. But I'm just saying, and we've had people, I go to these state party meetings all the time, and somebody either from the mountains or the coast says, why don't we have electronic meetings? We shouldn't have to be having people get up and leave their house and 6 o'clock in the morning. We should just be able to go to an electronic meeting. And then someone, usually it's Bob Hyman, says, the plan of organization says we must follow Robert's Rules of Order. Robert says that you can't have an electronic meeting unless the participants in the electronic meeting can participate in the same way that an in-person meeting can attend to. So here's my question. Why, years ago, when they were talking about doing these in-person meetings, go to my meeting, freeconferencecall.com, Zoom, why didn't they start trying to figure out back then, what can we do to have electronic meetings and have them be legal and easy to follow? Instead, we're always doing this crazy reacting at the last minute.
I'm going to guess it's because most of these people are 110 years old and don't know anything about technology. But
hey, listen, I got news for you. The young kids who work for the Democratic Party don't know shit about technology. They can't even properly paginate a 12-page meeting agenda and put page numbers on it. Okay. And by the way, do you remember the app they were supposed to use for doing the Iowa caucus?
Iowa, yeah, okay.
In your face. Okay. What do you think was doing it? Think there was a bunch of 110-year-old AT&T phone workers that were plugging in jacks? Hell no. These were young kids working for the Democratic Party. They were political operatives. They were paid politicos. They don't know squat about these meetings either. But the thing is, I don't elect those people. I elect my state party officers. I want those people to when Chris Telesca says, what are you going to do about these meetings? Oh, we're looking into it.
Okay. Well, I'm not a young kid. I'm 70, but I'm pretty technically literate because of all the time I spent doing technology. And if you look at the screen right now and my face going off into the distance, you'll say, yes. Yeah, what do you know about technology? You couldn't even make a Zoom conference work. I mean, it screwed me because it's working differently than every other time I've done it. So I don't know, there's more to learn. All right. I gotta get one last thing out of you, before we wrap things up. And that is, worst comes to worst as far as you're concerned. The shit has totally hit the fan. And, on November, what is it? The 6th, whatever the third, and your ballot says Biden, or sometime in October when you're voting early.
I'm voting for our party nominee is. Until we got a party nominee, all bets are off. I'm going to work to get the best person I think to be the nominee. I just don't think that person is Joe Biden.
Okay. But if he is,
yep,
you will vote for the and you're couching it in the terms of so you don't use his name. I will vote for the party nominee, and you recommend that every one of your friends do the same thing?
Yep, hell yeah.
Because the alternative is worse.
Well,
and
here's
and then
I'm going to tell people they're just, they said, I can't vote for like another rapist if you believe Tara Reid. Okay. I understand that. I have a lot of female friends who went through sexual trauma, sexual harassment, sexual assault, and I cannot tell them, hi, I'm a white guy that's been doing mixed martial arts since I was 6 years old. Vote for Joe Biden, right? I can't tell them that. I tell them who I'll vote for. I can't tell them that they should vote for somebody that gives them the heebie-jeebies, because when they think of Joe Biden and Tara Reid, they think they got it right. I can't tell them that. I also can't tell a black person who sees the stuff that Biden's done over the years to the black community, just ignore it and vote for Biden. Yeah. You'll be better off.
So it's time to start a new show on that. I listened to Tara Reid's interview, the podcast where she first came out with her whole story, and she sounded credible and believable and earnest and sincere to me. And maybe the establishment conspired to come down on her, but she sounded credible and earnest and sincere. But a lot of the reporters looking into her and sympathetic reporters looking into her said there's too many holes in the story. So I don't know. We do know that right now Me Too can be weaponized.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And maybe this time it was weaponized and maybe it wasn't, and I can't tell.
Well, here's the thing. Given that I'm a dude, it's not my place to be the ultimate authority on whether it has or it's not, okay? Right? I'm not going there. I will just say this one thing. I'm having a hard time remembering what the hell I said at the state executive committee meeting on February 29th. I'm aggravated that my state party is making a digital audio recording of the fucking meeting so that they can create the minutes of the meeting from that recording. Hell, I'd like to see them videotape the damn thing. And I got people asking me, Chris, do you remember what your amendment to the plan of organization was? And I said, you mean that thing I handed up to you on a piece of paper that the state party staffer typed into a Word document? Do I remember what the hell I said back then? No, what?
Okay, you're breaking up. I'm not. Hold on. I'm not getting your answer whether you remember it or not, and we need to find out. So let's go 3, 2. Okay,
what
now.
I'm basically saying is, if I can't remember exactly what I said, if I can remember I was in a room and I said something and a bunch of people voted for it, and that was a couple months ago. It's possible I might remember something with incredible clarity that happened to me 20 years ago, or I might not.
Yeah, I remember I think about 4 things that happened to me in 1993.
Well, let's see. Where was I living in 1993? I think I was living in North Carolina. I know who I was dating. I know where I went with somebody I was dating in May of 1993. I remember where I took them for their first date. What I ordered, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. On the other hand, if I had to push somebody up against the wall and stuck my fingers inside them, I'd remember that.
Unless you've done it a lot and they all just ran together.
Yeah, nobody's saying he did it a lot.
Well,
did you
ever hear about Ted Kennedy and some of his crazy shit that went on in restaurants with waitresses. I don't know if he was a senator when this happened or not, but it's just, I mean, I'm sorry, but when I hear things, I have a good friend of mine, a very good friend of mine. I would have never thought he did this, but someone who works in the Democratic Party told me, "You're never going to guess what your friend told me." I said, "What?" And I said, "I want to get you naked and dip you in chocolate." He told a party staffer that. And I'm like going, it's a good thing he's not here because I want to take something and break it over his head. You don't do that shit, okay? I mean, it's like what Tony Soprano said. You don't shit what you eat, right? I mean, just, I guess I grew up different. People think that I'm a chauvinist and a misogynist and this and the other thing. I have never said anything like that in my life. And when I keep hearing my female friends tell me that shit like that happens, I'm like, where did these guys grow up?
You're an amateur chauvinist.
Older or younger than me. And it's not like I just never grew up like that.
You're an amateur chauvinist. All right. So we elect Biden and whoever the vice president. Do you have a pick for vice president?
Right now, the only person I want to see as vice presidential candidate is Warren.
Okay, I'd be happy with that.
Is damaged goods. Did you know about this cop that kneeled on the guy's neck up there? You know that she let him.
I've heard about that.
Yeah, okay. She's toast. If Biden picks her, I mean, he might as well both march up Pennsylvania Avenue wearing sheets and burning crosses. I mean, come on.
All right. So Biden gets elected. Warren's vice president.
Yep.
Wait 2 years. Got to wait 2 years because you want to give her the maximum opportunity for her own 2 terms. And if you make her president after 1 year, then she maxes out after 1 term. So not that that's ever really going to happen in this country because it just doesn't. But there's a chance. So that's my plan.
Well, here's the thing. Whether you give her two years as his VP or you give her 1 year, okay. There's no guarantee that she's going to win again in 4 years. So give her the chance to get maximum imprint on her stuff. Get her in there, get her to be president as soon as possible, right? And then she's going to pick a vice president in 2024, right?
Well, no, she'd have to get a vice president right away. Well,
what I'm saying, here's the problem. She have to then pick somebody three years out that she knows is going to work out in 2024.
2028.
No.
Because she'll run again in 24.
Right. She'll run again in 2024. That's the person she's going to have as her VP in 2024. That's the person who will probably run for president in 2028. But there's no guarantee. Hell, we had Al Gore run. Al Gore won, but didn't end up being president.
So Hillary also won, but didn't end up being president.
Well, again,
same thing. Plus or minus a Supreme Court decision.
Well, that's the other thing too. But here's the thing. The Democratic Party's got to stop playing games. They've got to appeal to voters' better instincts, not the lesser of two evils.
By the way, this episode of the Triangle Talk Show is brought to you apparently by Arby's. I'm going to have to click the YouTube button that says there's product placement. That's going to get me in trouble.
Oh, well.
All right. I think we've got it all figured out, so we're all set. It only took us 2 hours to do it. I'm impressed.
There you go. Well, you'll probably be hearing from all the people in the Democratic Party saying you need to not have Telesca on your show for another 6 months.
Well, let me tell them something here. And if they've managed to make it to this part of the show, I'll give them the next clue to how they are going to win this deal. Have a fucking better computer and internet connection. And if they can they'll be able to make their case without breaking up every 45 seconds. Okay. Then they are going to win this argument just by pure better technology.
Well, I had thought that the 2 or 3 things I wanted for my 60th birthday, which is coming up next Thursday, I've decided because of the pandemic I'm not going to get. I got my first real. I'll take this as a birthday present. A big container of toilet paper and paper towels from Costco. They had them both at the same time, and wipes. I went nuts. I bought my own birthday present. Great. No. Then I said, no, what I really want for my birthday is I want to get my riding lawnmower working again. No, maybe I'll just bite the bullet. Instead of buying another car, I'm gonna buy a new MacBook Pro.
I don't understand why you're getting Macs at all, but
because I'm a photographer and I'm a graphic person.
Yeah.
Photoshop works better on a Mac than it does anywhere else.
it does not. Photoshop works great on a PC. I use it all the time.
Try telling that to my clients who all have Macs.
Just don't tell them.
Oh, trust me, they'll know. If I show up on a shoot and I whip out a PC, they're going to go, ew. Why don't you just use them in the camera?
So I freelance for the largest advertising agency in the region quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And the largest advertising agency in the region up in Durham.
Rocket Burkhead?
No, McKinney. Rockets are regional. McKinney's national.
McKinney used to be in Raleigh there now.
Yeah, they've been in Durham. They've been in Durham since the early 2000s.
Okay, wow, all right, well.
Yeah, they're in the American Tobacco Historic area. I only freelanced for them. I wasn't a staffer, but I freelanced a lot for them. And they were a Mac shop. They were a Mac shop. They were a Mac shop. And then Mac stopped supporting Final Cut, and they became a Windows shop. At least for.
Well, I actually, somebody was telling me what the reason why a lot of shops stopped using Macs is because the Mac Pro, when it went from being the big box, kind of like, well, you can't see it here, but I've got an all power PC Mac here. But when they stopped having a real serious desktop, and then the Mac Pro turned into a garbage can, a small little round garbage can, people said, we can't buy those things. And so a lot of people ended up switching over, which is the reason why Mac is now going to a sort of an old style desktop, big aluminum thing with a lot of cooling fins and louvers and stuff on it.
Another cheese grater.
Yeah, that. Yep. So I've just been a Mac person, forever, which is weird because my dad used to work for IBM, and the first computer it's weird. The first PC that we had in the home when my brother went to computer camp was an old Apple II, and it pissed off my father. I can't believe I'm having to take out a loan to buy an Apple II, and I could get an IBM PC for whatever. So finally, we ended up getting a PC for my sister when she took some, class at Durham Tech, and and then I had a PC for a while, but then I've just been working on Macs and all my digital imaging on Macs,
Now, apparently you just need a better one. However, this episode of the Triangle Talk Show has been brought to you by Microsoft and Apple.
Awesome. Well, my MacBook Pro is 12 years old, so it's time for a new one.
It is toast. Yes.
Well, yeah. Well, here's the reason why. I own a standalone copy of Photoshop. I think it's like Photoshop CS4, and it works great for what I do with my camera. The last standalone version of Photoshop that I could buy for a Mac was 6.5, and now I have to subscribe to some monthly Photoshop
Creative
crap.
Cloud. I'm into Adobe for $50 a month.
Yeah, well, I don't want to be into them for anything. I bought my software; it works fine. I'm not doing web design. My clients hire me. Well, they used to hire me to do pictures, but now with this COVID crap, they don't. But when I work, when I was getting work, when I took the pictures, I came home, boom, did stuff in Photoshop, and I was done. And loaded up stuff in Dropbox or emailed some people, or hell, loaded them up on thumb drives. And I was done. I mean, in theory, I guess I could do that on like a PC too, but I still like Macs.
I got something to show you here on the screen. Maybe this will help.
Yeah, I use GIMP too, but still most of my clients use Photoshop, and I got a lot of stuff. I got a lot of macros for Photoshop right now.
Yeah, I try to use GIMP. I don't understand it very well, and every time I need to do something that's different than what I've done before, or even that's the same, I can't remember how I did it. I got to go ask somebody online.
Well, see, that's
but I'm figuring it out slowly.
With GIMP, that almost all the good stuff that they talk about in Photoshop. When I used to go to Photo Expo in New York every year, there's a guy named Martin Evening, and Martin Evening was this great guy from England who would do these presentations and classes on Photoshop and Lightroom, right? And he would pretty much always talk about, here's a new feature in Photoshop. It was in GIMP 2 years ago. Oh, right. And it's like, GIMP is kind of like the nuts and bolts, stuff. If you want to take the time to learn all the crazy stuff, you can use GIMP. But if you want to actually produce something without having to, know the 50 steps to take red eye out from somebody, you're going to use Photoshop, right? And most of I can go out and buy a whole bunch of, what do you call it? Applets for that. I guess I don't know if that's what you call them anymore. Basically, I can go buy plugins. I can go buy plugins for Photoshop. I can't buy plugins for GIMP, So I'll go to these trade shows and I'll see somebody wants to sell a, for instance, I photographed a big 100-ton gantry crane, right? And it's in a shitty warehouse while there's crap on the wall. But somebody can actually sell me a plugin that will make it look like I'm photographing this crane on a white background. That I would spend money on, right? I don't have to learn how to do all that crap on my own in Photoshop, or for that matter in GIMP, But if I can go someplace and be up high and shoot a gantry crane and charge somebody $600 for that, and use $15 worth of a plugin, right, in order to wipe the background out so it looks beautiful, and they can put that on their website, put it in printed brochures, and blow the photograph up because I shot it in RAW, and it can be in a big printed piece in the front lobby of their office. I'm going to do that.
Yeah, I didn't know that those plugins were available. I spent way too much time carefully drawing outlines around things so I could make the background disappear. I guess I got to learn that stuff.
Well,
all right, it's
like when I used to do film, which I did film until 2008, and a lot of people were going,
what?
Going digital, but I still did analog because, and the interesting thing is I still do a lot of pre-production stuff, the same stuff I did with film that I do with digital. Like I still use a light meter, a handheld light meter. Why do I do that? Because, I went quicker that way than I can, with doing 5 shots and, doing it in, HDR or whatever. I get my shot the way I want it before I take one picture, right? I mean, it's kind of like I can use digital imaging as like a Polaroid. So I can look at my Polaroid and see, do I like how that's lit? I like how that's focused. I like how that's composed. Get it done the way I want it done, digitally without blowing Polaroids. And then I can shoot it in RAW, and I can know that I give it to my client. It's going to take a lot less retouching than, it would have otherwise done. I hate fix it in Photoshop. It's like
it's all anybody does anymore. They call it bracketing when you set your camera to bracket.
Yeah.
And it'll take a picture darker, a little less darker, about right, a little brighter, a little brighter yet, and then you pick the one you want, or you can even composite them together so that the backgrounds and the foregrounds.
You use that what they call high dynamic range imaging. You could do that stuff. You could basically get the details in your shadows, details in your highlights, details in the midtones, and Photoshop will put it all together. And so you get kind of a flat image that has a lot of texture and detail in the highlight, shadows, and the midtones. Or what I can do is I can bring along a generator and some auxiliary lights and I can get it all done in one shot.
Light it properly.
Trees blowing around and, behind there and shit that's not lining up right.
Okay, so what we were going for was telling the folks in the Democratic Party, the conservatives, as you call them, that if they just come up with some better technology and they do the Triangle Talk Show, they're going to sound so much better than you have that they're going to win every point. And Chris will be going, why didn't I buy a better computer for this show?
And the next time, see, I actually have a PC, but and the PC does really good in some stuff, but sadly I don't have a webcam on it. So I've got to get an auxiliary webcam, and then I can talk to you.
Can't buy one of those today.
What?
You can't buy one of those today.
Well,
they're all sold out.
If I get them today, when will it be delivered? Not in the 2 hours that we were talking on this show.
Nope. No.
So, tell you what, I'll look into it. I'll make sure it works perfectly.
Next time you're here.
Next time I'm here, and you got to promise me one thing, that you will not make me turn my webcam around and show you my Windows machine.
or wait a minute, where's it? There, your underwear.
There, exactly. Right, yes.
Oh, wait, let me suck in the gut a little bit here.
There you go. You got to do that. You got to do that.
This is COVID weight here. This here is my COVID 20.
I've actually lost weight. Not a lot of weight, but I got a bathroom scale in there, and I'm down 10 pounds. And I can tell you why. I'm not hitting the flying saucer for 3 beers every day.
Okay.
Which is sad.
Yeah, that can help though.
Yes.
You didn't drink that light beer stuff, I guess.
I don't drink light beer.
Yeah, light beer is for light men.
Light beer is, if I wanted to drink light beer, I drink water,
I'll tell you, my last beer was in 1988, so enjoy.
My last beer was 15 minutes ago. So.
You're probably still in the middle. So let me turn your picture back on just for saying goodbye. I'm saying ask to start video. Maybe you got to push the video button again.
I just didn't start my video.
I don't think it helped very much.
Well, it probably did. Anyway, this is the glass I was drinking my beer out of.
Okay, it's empty.
It's empty. It's empty. This is the lovely growler that I just finished up by pouring it into this glass that I drank out of. Yes.
Who do you want from the Democratic Party? Who do you challenge to come on the show?
Who do I challenge to come on the show? Oh, there's way too many people I challenge to come on the show for different reasons. I'm trying to think who'd be the one to most likely take you up on. I'm really having a hard time because there's so many questions that you could ask them all and they'd be like, why are you asking me that? So, like I have the guy that was pushing ranked choice voting. I'd love to have him be on the show. Let's see, the state party chair, the head of the council, not the head of the council, but the head of the plan of organization committee, both the old one and the new one. I'd love to have them both on there. I'd love for you to get Damon Circosta on the show, the state board of elections chair.
I need to get him on with, I know I'm not going to remember her name because I'm terrible with names. Yeah, Lynn Bernstein.
Yes.
But any of you guys here, Craig Shepard, my Kerry vice chair, you're just going to be down the road.
Yeah.
When the COVID is done, you can come sit in the.
I'd love to do that. Yes, I will bring a nice, flavorful North Carolina a beer with me when I come there. I'll ask you if you like. And now it'll be a light beer and it'll be a dark beer, but it won't be like a light LITE beer. It'll be like an IPA or something.
Well, I won't be drinking any beers.
Oh, okay, all right.
I'm a graduate of the Alcoholics Anonymous school of getting the hell back your life.
Okay, well, I did not know that. I did not mean to tempt you. I have many friends who are in the program, and I respect them for that.
You have to work a lot harder to tempt me. On the other hand, as we alcoholics know, one is too many and 1,000 is not enough.
I understand that. And here's the interesting thing, you know, the sobriety prayer, right?
Yeah. It's the serenity prayer.
Right. The serenity prayer, you know, what is it? God grant me the wisdom to... What is it?
Okay, now you're gonna. I tell you, I know it, and now you're gonna challenge my memory because it's been a long time. It's
Saint Anthony's prayer. The wisdom to accept the things I can't change, or to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That's
pretty much it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, imagine applying that sobriety prayer to the crazy shit that goes on in the Democratic Party. You see, here's the thing. I can actually change this shit. I know this because I've done it with other people. Now, the sad thing is, a lot of the people who I worked with to get some of this stuff changed, like some of my older friends in the Wake County Progressive Democrats that aren't in the Wake Progressives anymore. They're not even living in Wake County anymore. Some of these people just sold out, you know? They wanted things in life, and, you know, they could get them by selling out. Sorry about that. I just got to look at myself in the mirror in the morning, you know?
So you're not selling out.
Well,
you're the one with ethics.
I'll tell you what really scares me. I'm amazed that nobody's tried to bribe me or get me to sell out. I guess they either think I'm going to punch them out for daring to do that, or they don't think that they could afford me.
Are you amazed or are you disappointed?
It's kind of a little bit of both, you know. It'd be flattering to have somebody try to bribe me, but you know, I would ultimately tell them to go fuck themselves.
All right, we're gonna go away here.
It's nice to be asked, you know.
It's pretty cool to see your name float down the screen into infinity like that, isn't it?
That's true. It looks like the last time I tried to lay out my business cards, you know, like which type font style do I want to use, you know?
All right. You're Chris Telesca. You're a president of the Wake County Progressive Democrats.
Correct.
I didn't put president.
Almost all the caucus groups in Wake County, we're not meeting in person anymore.
How are you meeting?
We are working at, it's like this. I would want to impose this technology setup that I have on anybody, because trust me, I think John Brooks probably has a better computer and web camera than I have. So, and if former Labor Commissioner Brooks is better equipped than I am, then I need to up my game a little bit. I think we're going to go probably to a Zoom meeting fairly soon.
There are better alternatives. I have added Zoom, and I'm paying $15 a month so I can bring two people or more past the 40-minute mark. But you can do the same thing free on Skype, free on Google Meet. There's a bunch. And one upcoming show, I'm gonna, what I want to do is get my two co-hosts and just go through every possible meeting thing and see how many we can make work and see how many break.
I would actually, this is kind of what I'd hope that the Democratic Party would have done earlier. And that is, let's take some of these kids that aren't working on campaigns right now because of the COVID pandemic and put them to work figuring out what kind of technology that we ought to be using. You know, I mean, hey,
you should have some kids that can do that. This episode of the Triangle Talk Show. This episode of the Triangle Talk Show has been brought to you by Zoom.
Woohoo!
Or not. Yeah. All right. It's been episode 94, politics all the time. June 4th, 2020. Do you like the way I worked your name into the title? Tel-esca Me More?
Yes, I do. I'm going to take a picture of that with my cell phone. Woohoo! There we go. You see?
I might make that, if I can find it, I'll make that the poster picture for YouTube.
Yep. See, I've got this I voted early thing on the back of my iPhone, right?
Okay. Yep.
Yep. And I've had, whoever bought these stickers, I've had this thing on my phone since February 29th. Usually the I voted early stickers I get at the Wake County Board of Elections are gone in 2 weeks.
They peel off. They're cheap.
Well, yeah, they peel off. But here's the thing. You know what I do with this phone every day when I come home from work? I take an alcohol wipe and I wipe the screen and wipe the case and all that. And once a week, I take the entire case off the phone. I, pour hot water in the bathroom sink and I scrub it down really hard. This thing is still on there after I've been doing this now for 2 months.
It's quality.
More like 3 months. Yeah, I don't get it. I'm just going to have to tell Gary Sims, hey, this is the one thing you've done in the last couple of years that I actually approve of. But, have you talked with Lynn lately?
It's been a while. I see her on Facebook.
There's some really weird shit going on in the Wake County Board of Elections. I mean, she almost got arrested on election night trying to go down to the Board of Elections and see how they unload all the trucks with all the scanners and the ballots in them and stuff like that.
You got to get out of here. You got no business here being on this property.
Gary Sims told her to leave, and I'm thinking in Durham County and Guilford County, the Board of Elections actually opened up the Board of Elections warehouse and let people come in and watch. Here's how we bring the stuff off the vans. Because you know what they used to do back in the day, right? They used to have like a phone cable, right? And they would plug a cable into the scanner, right?
Oh, with the modem, yeah.
Because there was a modem in the scanner. Lynn is still pissed off that she can't get Gary Sims to tell her yes or no. Are there modems in the new scanners that we bought? And if so, what have you done to deactivate them to make sure that they don't work? Can you pull them out manually? Is there something you have to do to physically disable them? She can't get Gary Sims to tell her that, and I don't understand why. But anyway.
Yeah, I got to have her back on soon.
So, yeah, you definitely should. There's a lot of stuff going on.
I wish I had an audience. If I had an audience, I'd have power.
Well,
you're going to tell everybody you know to watch this 2.5-hour show, right? I mean, we're about to give Joe Rogan a run for his money.
No, I'm not as muscular as Joe Rogan is, and Joe Rogan actually has people sitting on the other side of the table from him. Tell you what we should do is I should come to your house and I'll wear a mask. How about that?
When I have had my vaccine shot.
Oh, okay. Ooh, are you self-isolating until there's a vaccine shot?
Not totally. I mean, we were at Arby's today.
Mm-hmm.
There was nobody in the dining room, so I didn't feel too bad about it.
I am going to very few places. I go to hardware stores occasionally to pick up stuff. I haven't done any location scouting or location shoots. I might have a location scouting trip in a week or two, but I've been to a couple of restaurants to do takeout. There's a couple places that I've been to that I'm glad that they're still open. They're little mom and pop Italian shops. My favorite Chinese. Can I give a plug to a Chinese restaurant?
Okay, this episode of the Triangle Talk Show is brought to you by
New China King on New Hope Church Road in Raleigh. It's the best a la carte Chinese place in Raleigh.
Okay.
Yeah.
We take out from a place called Orient Garden. It's on the Southwest Maynard Loop in Cary.
Yeah.
And but I was looking for, and they closed for a little while, but then they reopened. And I'm glad they did because they are a cut above anything else I've had for takeout, except for the Goji Bistro, which was really good and then kind of fell off. So.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, New China King is a la carte only, and it's cash only
and carry out only.
Well, it's now carry out only, but it used to be that they had a couple of, when I used to work for Salvation Army, and I don't know if I'm going to work for them again this year, if they're going to even do bell ringing, but when I used to do the driving and the kettle coordinating, one of my favorite places to eat. I would usually eat there several times a week. Would be New China King. I'd be over there. I'd order, sort of one of those big, dinner combo, lunch combo things, and I'd work on my kettle tickets, and then I'd start running my route, and which would be weird because I'd almost end up as my next to last spot, if not last spot, would be the Walmart on New Hope Church Road. But I love that place. The hot and sour soup is fantastic. I go to three other Italian places because it's weird. My grandmother was probably the greatest Italian cook in my entire life, and my mom learned how to cook Italian food from her. And my mom wasn't Italian, right? Both my grandmother and my mom are deceased, and so are all my aunts and great aunts. So when I go out for like Italian food, if something in any way, shape, or form tastes like something that either my grandmother, mother, or my aunts or great aunts made, I'll start, like, tears will just start coming out of the eyes here, And so Roma's Italian food on Brentwood Road has some great Italian food. Casa Carbone on Glenwood Avenue, and Vinny's in downtown, in the city market is great. It's in my favorite Italian places. I go to eat other places too, but those four places I've just described are the places. So those are like my go-to places. If anybody wanted to assassinate me, that's where they would go. They have to drive around because I don't go there any particular night, but they'd say, "Tell you what, all it take with two. I eat out 2 or 3, 4 nights a week. All they'd have to do is pick 3 nights a week and go to those 4 places. If they wanted to hit me, that would be how they do it." Now okay. I'm giving all those younger Democrats information. I don't know why I just said that. So.
Yeah. It's been nice knowing you. Well, we'll have to do the next show soon. Well, now we're just wistful for these places that we used to go to, and it's going to be a while.
Well, I can't wait to go there and eat there again because, there's just something that's more satisfying to me eating something on a plate than eating it on, a clamshell.
So now that we basically stopped talking about the serious stuff, why is it that your internet is working again? Your picture is motion and not still frames, and you're not breaking up. Somebody in your neighborhood stopped watching Netflix, I guess.
Well, it's probably the establishment conservatives figure. He's not talking about Biden and Bernie, so let's let him talk about Chinese food. Fuck it, right?
Yeah. And now it's working. All right, I gotta go to bed.
All right, me too. I gotta drink some more beer.
Okay, so this has been the Triangle Talk Show. We did this in Tel-esca Me More, June 14th, episode 94. It's politics, and join me in the sign off. Everybody, over. Your part's next. Over.
And out.